Today on Waltrip Unfiltered, my buddy Bubba Wallace joins us. Bubba, thanks for coming on. How you been, bud?
I'm good. Good morning. I've been better, but I've also been worse. So I'd say I'm right in the middle. I'm okay. Hanging in there.
I kind of hang in the middle a lot. Like, I feel like I think got things figured out, and then I realize I didn't. And but it never is quite as bad or as good as it seems to me. But you look great.
Right.
That's a good thing, right?
I appreciate it. I try to. I'm kind of just waking up, and I kind of want to say I woke up like this, so I'm good.
When you get out of bed looking like that, it's not going to be a bad day. Well, it's been a crazy 2020. We know that. So much has gone on in this world. In your world in particular, I want to know, as your friend, how are you? How's all this? How's this stacking up on you?
Whew, it's continuing to stack up for sure. If it's not one thing, it's another. Starting out 3 or 4 months ago, going through all the madness that 2020 provided, that trickled into our sport and to where we're heading with our sport, to now being in the midst of silly season. So it's just like when we kind of not really conquer one thing, but settle one side, and then something else kind of rises. And so it's just a never-ending process over here in the head of Bubba Wallace. It's always something brewing up there.
Well, I've followed your career since the beginning. I had the good fortune of being able to meet you early on and cover you in the Truck Series and Xfinity and now onto the Cup. When you look back as a kid just wanting to be a racer and look at the things that you've accomplished to this point, I know there's much more to come, but how would you sum up the trials, the struggles? How would you sum up what all that was like getting to this point?
Hell, maybe.
Yeah.
No, I think my mom always said, this is going to be a hell of a story one day. Everything that happens, it all happens for a reason. So, and when you're young and then she's saying that and your parents are telling you certain things, you don't really, one, understand it. And I guess, and two, you don't really care to understand it. But looking back on it, all makes sense. However the story may be told, when I'm long gone, it'll be a lengthy one for sure. And just, it always seems like it's repetitive. It's like you're up here and then you drop straight down, and you go back up and you drop straight down. So it's just like a never ending roller coaster for us. But it's all part of it. It practices or it teaches you, adversity, perseverance, trying to, stay persistent and stay on that beaten path that you have set for yourself. So it's just a lot of work. And at times I let it get to me and take it out on my family and close friends. So it's just chaotic at times, but we're okay. We're digging through it.
Yeah. What I remember as a kid, I was born, obviously, Daryl's brother. I couldn't help that. He was 16 years older than me. And so the first thing I can remember, like as a human, is wanting to be a race car driver, like my big brother. That's who I was. That's been me since day one. When do you remember the first time thinking, well, darn, I want to be a race car driver?
I don't know. That's a good question. As someone is ringing my doorbell, hopefully Amanda can grab that right quick.
This is
she's
great.
On the phone.
This is live TV, Bubba. This is how it works.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't, when I got into it, I was sitting here thinking about this yesterday, and, I try not to be disrespectful of the sport and of the history, but I was a person that, didn't pay attention to the history. I don't really know much about the sports history, except for the things that like I see now. So I'm continuing to learn more and more about the sport, but that's just kind of how it was for me. It was always just getting into, the cars that I was in at the time and then continuing to move forward to the next one and not really knowing what was next for us. It was just like, okay, we got a go-kart. And then around a year and a half, 2 years, my dad was like, all right, we're getting the Bandolero. It's like, okay.
Now you and your mom and dad doing this, making these decisions?
That was it. Yeah. He was like, this car's bigger and faster. We can go race here. It's like, okay. We got into a legend car, then got into a late model. And then, it was like 2008, 2009, where I got signed by JGR. And still, it wasn't like, oh, I might, be a cup driver one day. It was just like, all right, cool. This helps out funding. It helps, my parents out a lot. And then got into the ranks of the K&N level, and still just sitting there like nothing. Yeah, this is next level for us. What else is next? And it was 2000. I was 16, so it was 2011. We were sitting on the grid. We had just qualified on the pole at Dover in the K&N race last season. I think your car was second with Brett. And if you remember that chaotic finish where it came down to the last 5 laps, he blew a tire and we ended up winning. But it was sitting on the grid, and I was like, not that I want to turn back, but I have no need to. Like, this is fun. We've gotten this far. Let's see where this goes. I literally had that conversation with myself, and then we started up the engines and went out and rolled out and went and raced, and we ended up winning the race. So yeah, I think it was that moment to where it was like, I don't even know if that was the moment where I'm like, I want to be a race car driver. It was just like, well, I'm not going to stop now. So I just continued to do it, until it's not there.
That is crazy. And I want to tell you a quick story about me, calling you up and saying, do you mind doing my podcast? I mean, that's like administration work that I don't like doing, it's uncomfortable for me. And then getting the call set up and all that. Yeah. But when I just have a moment like I just had with you, and I get to hear your background, like, we might have a beer together or play some golf or something, but we're not going to dig into our history. And this is cool. I know the fans will love hearing it, but I really love hearing where you were in your brain when you're sitting in that race car and you're thinking, this might work out. I hope so. I'm not going to stop now.
Yeah, we went on to win. So I think that was like, all right, well, hey, we won, so we got to keep going now. And it's shown. We just stayed persistent, like I said. And, after K&N, we were jumping in the truck ranks. And then it was like, okay. Then you start having your agents get on board. And it's like, all right, well, you win a couple races, sponsorship will come through, and then we'll have funding to go run Xfinity. And then it's like getting into the cup level. It's like, all right, now there's more of a path now, a set path, as to where before it was just like, we'll just go out and do it if it's available.
Yeah, my favorite win of yours, I don't know, it's a toss-up because all 3 of your truck wins are huge to me. Mm-hmm. I mean,
you're missing 2 others, but that's fine.
I mean, I'm sorry, the 3 that I'm thinking of are huge to me. Yeah. And I bet you're gonna agree. Let's see. No, let me ask you, what are your favorite truck wins?
Okay, mine. It's funny. I would say, obviously, my first one at Martinsville, just because that one was like, hey, we're a winner in NASCAR. We're a winner in the Truck Series. The history behind it with Wendell Scott and his family. So I definitely put that one at the top. And then, but a close second is my comeback win at Michigan. Yeah.
2 for 2.
Yep, Michigan. And then, oh, man.
You got this.
It's either Eldora or Homestead for me.
It's Eldora.
It's Eldora. And just, okay. I'll give that one a 3rd place just because of like, it was so unknown. Having Jerry there and his brother helped me out along the way. And, going back to the first race there in 2013, we ran 8th and we were okay. I still didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I really didn't in 2014. It was just like, don't hit the fence. Get as close as you can to the fence, but just don't hit it. And don't let anybody get to your outside. And so I remember running around Ryan there at the beginning. He gets off turn 4 and slams the wall, and it knocks him down. He was fine. It knocks him down off the straightaway. So I gas up and fill the hole. And I was like, all right, that's one spot. And then they start to get racing. And I just kept filling the spot. Next thing you know, we were leading. And that was crazy. And then you had Larson there, which with a dramatic ending there. So I still don't know how we did it. You can obviously hear that in my emotion in my voice after we crossed the start-finish line. And so that was definitely a fun one.
Well, that was very fun, and I agree with you. It was one of my top threes for you. But your comeback win, that was dramatic. You know, and you did know what you were doing there.
Yeah.
That made Eldora so much fun for me, because I remember talking to you prior to going out there, and you're like, I'm not a dirt racer. And then you win the damn race.
Yeah.
But you are, you know how to get it done on the big tracks. You can get it done anywhere. But that Michigan win in dramatic fashion sure was fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we talked about that. Myself, Shane Huffman, and Freddie Kraft were all sitting there in the hauler. I think my girlfriend Amanda may have been there at the time, sitting there. It's like, all right, when they get side by side, we're gonna ride. You know, we obviously knew we had a really fast truck, but we didn't fire off very good. You know, you guys had noted that at the start of the race, we were stuck back there in 10th to 11th and not really moving forward. But you know, we said these guys are gonna get side by side, and they punch a big hole and gonna have to decide and make up your mind. And so we were talking last lap stuff just because of how crazy it gets, not with 10 to go. And I just kind of seen it happening. And I've probably rewatched that race, Mikey, probably 30 times now, maybe even if not more. And I still, you know, I thought I made the pass a lot earlier than that into turn 3. Like it was late. And I was like, dang, all right, I'll take it. But such a, that year, and then to be able to kind of finalize it, that was one of my last races that year, with a win was very emotional and important to me. Just from the past, you know, the past 3 or 4 years, or 3 years going through all that, you know, with the Xfinity stuff, not being super competitive, and then coming back there, that was definitely, that's why I put it at a close second.
Yeah. You talked about not really knowing a lot about the history of NASCAR, but you certainly know Wendell Scott's history and what he did and accomplished. And that Martinsville win and that truck, that certainly had to warm, that's got to be just a warming feeling, knowing what you did for yourself, for that family, for the sport.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, again, going into that race, it wasn't something that, hey, if I win today, this will be the first since Wendell Scott in nearly 50 years. You know, I wasn't thinking that at all. I was just like, hey, Kyle told me at the end of that year, if you didn't win at Martinsville, you weren't going to be back in my truck. And it was just like, I need to go out and win, because it was 20-something races in, and we hadn't won yet. So it was like, man, we have got to do something here. And so once we did that, it was just like a sigh of relief for me. And then I get out, and it's the interviews of like, so the first since, you know, Wendell Scott, and I'm just like, oh, all right, sweet, a little cherry on top. So just that's how I like to go about it. I don't set these goals or look at the history and it's and all that stuff to accomplish. I just kind of let it settle in the background. Let me just go out and win. You know, the biggest thing on my schedule right now is winning, and I'm still frustrated over this past race at Daytona. You know, that was so close, and just gone like that. And it was just like, oh, I could taste it. It was so close.
Well, I got to tell, I'm glad you brought that up. You've won. You know, you know in your brain, right, that you're going to win a cup race. Like you've proven to yourself and everyone, I think, that you will win a cup race. Is that where you are mentally?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely want to win one. Yeah.
And the reason I say that, I thought coming down the front straightaway late in that, you know, as the checkered flag was getting ready, I thought you had it. Like I thought you were in the perfect position, but those boys made some very crazy moves and they all worked. And unfortunately, I don't know how you make those decisions. I mean, I've done that. I've won those races before, but that to me, that almost made me dizzy watching everything that went down there. What were you doing? What were you thinking?
Yeah, it was chaotic. So on that restart, I knew I had Byron behind me, and obviously all the HMS cars are super quick. And so it was one task of keeping him behind me. And you always want to be the first guy to do something whether that's start a new lane, make a move, whatever it may be. And you hope that the cars behind you will go with you. And so, Freddie was like, watch the top. He's peeking his headlight out, watch the top. And it was just like, okay, one good checkup in front of me and I'm going. And that happened. And he went with me. And the whole time he's just shoving me. And so it's like, okay, we're getting some good runs here. And, for a good half a lap, once you start that third lane, you get some momentum. And it's like, okay, here we go. And then after that, people will start to go up there and block and latch on. And so you see the 22 pull up in front of me. And I was thinking of the Daytona Roval there and thinking about just staying in the gas and hooking his ass, but I didn't. I let up and we get going, and then it gives him a huge run to Denny coming off turn 4. And I just knew that Denny was going to come up and block my line. And it would still be, we'd still have a dramatic finish. Well, when Denny stayed down in the bottom lane, I'm just like, yeah, here we go. Here we go. And I'm looking and Byron's just shoving me. And I'm like, okay, all right. And then next thing you know, I'm like knocked out of nowhere. And I'm like, what in the world? And so I was just like, I held my line. Like I looked at where I was at on the track, and Freddie was like, I think he got turned into you or something. And it was, I knew we were done at that moment. Luckily the caution came out and that was a wreck, unfortunately for the other guys, but fortunately for us, because we had cut the left rear tire. And I was so mad. I'm still mad thinking about it. Just screaming on the radio. I told Jerry, after the race, I was just head down, told my guys, good job, head down, told everybody on my team, even pit crew, walked down to the box, walked back to the bus, told everybody, good job, just because we all executed very well. And Jerry, I walked up to Jerry and it was a good job and just kept walking. He was like, hey. And I wasn't having it. I don't want to freaking talk, Jerry. Let me get back to the bus and get on a plane and go home. And he texted me on his way to the plane, and he was like, for the most part, we set ourselves up in the right spot every time, and just didn't work out. And I said, let me be pissed. Let me have my moment, because when you feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you also feel like you're about to change the world with this win, and then all of a sudden it's completely gone, that sucks. And I said, let me be mad. Good job, but let me be mad. And that was it.
You just described what racers go through at the plate tracks or just anywhere in general. Mm-hmm. Your eyes, you're like, here we go.
Yeah.
And then, shit. I mean, that's, you talked about, you get here and you go there, but just within seconds that happened to you.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, we were leading for, I don't even know if it was half a second and it totally went south super quick. And I just knew we were done, and sitting there, with the green, white checkered, I was like, man, I'm always like, I feel like one row too short from being a part of the dramatic finish. And how I was 20th on the last restart, and we still ended up 5th. So it was just like, man, one more lap, what could have happened? But that's always the story, isn't it? One more lap, he could have got him. You never know.
You either want one more or one less if it didn't go exactly the way you wanted it to go.
Yeah, I wanted a half second less.
My crew chief on my Busch team back in the day was Jerry Baxter, and you've talked about Jerry a bit. You guys seem to really have a good relationship, and he's one of my dear friends, and I'm glad to see y'all working so well together.
Yeah, Jerry's been a good friend of mine as well. He's just a downright good person. He's funny. He's got a lot of stories and a lot of chaos with him, but I think that balances us out because we're both crazy within ourselves, and we meshed really well at the start of our career in the truck series. And he was always, I just remember, man, this truck is going to be badass. And the guys built it right. And so it was like going into each race, it was like the confidence was there just because of, the things that he was telling me. And he was so excited. He gets so excited about his race cars when they're done right and they're built right. And, when we have brand new pieces, going to certain races, you know, he's very vocal about it. He's like, man, I'm feeling good about this one. And so, you know, we went on our separate paths when I was done with the truck stuff, and we always remained, you know, in close touch for sure. Just about, it seemed like we never let more than 30 to 45 days go by without a text throughout our 2 to 3 year hiatus. And so it was always, you know, we were always there supporting each other, whether it was, man, can't believe you blew away that truck win, or he's like, man, I can't believe you blew away that Xfinity win, you know, just things like that. And, you know, I had a really fun time in the truck series with my guys over there at KBM. And then when this opportunity came about, we were on the lake last year. People that don't know, when I do have a boat, we had a yearly deal with the team. I would keep it at his house. And so, you know, last year he was doing the truck stuff at GMS, and we were all out on the lake, and a friend of mine had brought it up. He was like, well, why doesn't he crew chief for you anymore? And I was like, that's a good question. He's old. He likes his Sundays off, and he just doesn't have it. And he looked at me and he was like, now, you know, I would go cup racing if it was with you. And I was just like, you serious? I was like, how much you been drinking today? And he was like, no, I'm serious. And I was like, all right. So it got down to, you know, the end of the season, and I was looking for a change, just because the confidence wasn't there. And Derek was a great crew chief, but don't get me wrong, we called some good races, and we just missed the leadership aspect out of Derek. And you know, we were pushing him to try to do more and more and more, and it just seemed like it never got there. And so, you know, I was like, man, this would be a big deal if we could get Jerry. I called him up again, you know, at the end of the season. Hey, man, you serious about cup racing? He was like, yeah. I'm like, okay. I said, it's a jump. You know, you've been a part of the truck and Xfinity stuff, but this cup stuff is no joke. It's pre-COVID. You know, we're on the road for 3 or 4 days. Those Sundays, no more Sundays off. You ain't gonna be sitting on the lake sending me pictures of my boat. Like, nah, you're gonna be right there with me in the heat, sitting up on top of the box. And so, you know, it all came about, and you know, I could go on and on about Jerry, but the things that he brings is the confidence level in me. Like, for example, the road course race at Daytona. Look at my road course resume and cup level, not impressive at all. And going into it, we spent a lot of time on the sim. Myself, Danny, my engineers, Danny and Tyler, we were all there on the sim at RCR for about a month, every Monday for a month, you know, trying to get better and better. And I, you know, had a good feeling like, okay, I feel good. And then going into it, it was like totally different. And I, you know, started off the race, it was typical Bubba, just slow and not really knowing what to do. And then started trying some more stuff. Jerry's like, hey man, try this, try that. And started trying, and, you know, picked up a second from when we started right there at the rain break. And we get out of the car, and he was like, dude, you can do this. You know, we can do this. These cup guys, they're good, but you're just as good. And it's just like, all right. And then we go back out and we march forward again. You know, we have a really good restart, and we picked up 2 seconds from the start of the race. I've never picked up 2 seconds at any of my road course races, and I've been there for 3 days, you know? And so I didn't give Jerry enough credit. We had a good talk Saturday before Daytona this weekend. And I appreciated him. I wanted to express my appreciation to him of just, you know, what he brings. And it's so exciting showing up to the racetrack with him, calling the shots, just because you never know what's going to happen. You know, he told me a couple weeks ago that the pit crew has come up to him and it's like, hey man, we appreciate you trying things. Stay out here, take 2 tires to keep us in the race, because it's easy just to take four and not try to gain track position. But, you know, Jerry is just like, dude, I'm not going to ride around here in 20th. We're going to make something happen. Vegas, his first top 10 was, we were on 20th with 5 to go. And he's like, we're staying out. And we end up 6th. And it's like, all right, sweet. We'll take it.
More.
Yeah.
I like your attitude, though. You got to be on board if you're going to do those types of things. Yeah. I'm curious about one thing. You talked about sim and working on it and then getting in the car and it not being the same. I'm always curious of that. do you think you wasted a month of your time in that thing because it didn't seem to work, or is it something that you will continue to lean on?
You know, for Daytona, for the road courses, it's good to get on there if it's somewhat close. And I felt the way I was driving, like it wasn't just super easy to drive and had all the grip in the world. Like I was actually fighting it and working on it. And so I feel like I didn't waste time, you know, for that. I thought, obviously you can't adjust the grip levels. You can't adjust tire fall off because the sim doesn't recognize that. So basically you're on a Q run each and every lap, which is okay. That gives you, you know, time to work on things and try new things each and every lap and get into somewhat of a rhythm. But it's funny. I knew the course, the whole course for the most part, just from watching the Rolex 24 hours, you know, right before our season started. I knew get to start finish line, turn left. And I knew which way it flowed. And so I felt comfortable from that jumping into the sim. And then the sim was just like, okay, this is how this corner flows after that one. And so, you know, for example, we were at the sim yesterday and we were there at Richmond and we struggled to get like a true feeling of it. And so that's the moments where it's like, I jumped on it and dove right off into turn one and made a lap. And the first thing I said, I was like, we're going to wax the field by 50 laps if this is how good this thing's going to drive when it comes around race time this weekend. So, you know, it's the ones like that where it's like, yeah, you know, we're dialing ourselves out here. This is not the way it drives for sure. So there's moments where you do feel like you're wasting time, but there's also very crucial moments where you're learning stuff as well.
Well, you talked about the craziness of 2020.
Yep.
The performance of the car has been there, top 5 at Daytona. Like you said, good run at several racetracks this year.
Mm-hmm.
But the challenges have also been huge. I wanted to say thank you for something for me personally. I'm a white kid from Kentucky, and that flag, it meant, I didn't even know what it was. You know, it meant, right. It didn't mean anything to me because I wasn't raised around it or that. But, you know, I learned it's hurtful to people. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to say thank you for educating me somewhat, mm-hmm. And also for the stance you've taken for many people that watch our sport and weren't comfortable with that flag. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. It's going through everything around those times, a couple months ago was definitely tough and mentally draining. But, you know, we needed to make a change as a sport. I wasn't getting so many tweets, just seeing like the comments on NASCAR's posts or whatever it may be of just how the African American community, one, would either not come to a race again or never come to a race because of the flag. And it was just like, that's not right. Yeah, it's not right. But I'm like, we could change that ASAP. If that's what's holding you back, let's go. We're gonna knock that out of the park and get rid of it and be okay. And then I knew to an extent, you know, how much backlash it would be. But it's crazy to me. It's like the people that are so mad are the ones that are acting like I just went into their house and got rid of all of it. And it's just like, hey, we're just here at the racetracks. That's all it is. So yeah, it's not your livelihood here. It's just please don't fly the flag. That's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, the support on pit road pre-race that you received, that also warmed my heart. How, mm-hmm. to me, the event that occurred in the garage was certainly unfortunate and sad, mm-hmm. no matter how it was perceived.
Yep.
But then the support of your fellow drivers and the teams and NASCAR, the support you received, that was one of the coolest things I've seen pre-race in the world, in NASCAR's history. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. That was a mentally draining weekend for sure, with everything that was kind of brought to me and put in front of me and in my attention, and to see, you know, the outcome of it, which, you know, I've said multiple times, it was nothing directed towards me or my family, which is positive. That's a great thing. It's great news. But, going through it all and seeing how, the sport came together was super cool, was just super touching and very humbling. And knowing that, everybody, had your back was felt good. And, I had seen in our driver's chat, like, Jimmy had kind of started it. Hey, I'm going to go stand next to Bubba for the anthem. And, I had lost it sitting there on my bus, emotionally, just reading that. And then seeing, multiple people like, yeah, me too. And then I think Kyle Busch was like, we might need more room. and so they kind of come up with this plan. And I thought it was just the drivers. And so I don't know what made me look beyond the drivers to see it was the entire garage. And that's when, you see me standing on top of the car and lose it, just because it was the entire garage was there in support. And I thought that was pretty special. So, and a weekend that none of us will ever forget, but whatever the outcome was and how it looked and was perceived, like you said, doesn't change the fact that we're still a family sport.
Well, the moment, like I said, was spectacular. And I know you're an emotional dude. Then you had to hop in a car and go racing. That's I don't think people really appreciate what it's been like being you this year. And I know it doesn't go away either. I mean, it's just part of what you have to deal with the responsibility that you've taken on, and you've done a great job of stepping up and making change.
Yeah.
I think what you've done has inspired me and people to want to do more. And that's what we need. That's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's still a lot of work to be done, in making this a better place for, the next generation coming up through. And, you have daughters and we got to make it a better place for everybody, because they're going to have kids and their kids are going to have kids. And we can't have this, repetitive stuff going on. So do we have the exact answers of how we can change things? No, but it doesn't mean we don't stop trying.
Well, I appreciate your effort, and I also appreciate you spending some time with me today. Man. Like I said, it's just cool to catch up with a friend.
Yeah, it's always good. Just what we call it, shoot the shit.
That's right. And I want to tell you, that guy over your left shoulder, that's a badass back there.
Yeah, he is. I wish I could get back to that stage. Maybe one day.
I don't know. You ain't far off.
He's posed up pretty well, so it's incredible. He's like one of those people that are on the streets, like in Vegas, where those little human statues. He just stands there. He hasn't broke character yet, and he's been up here.
He hadn't come out of that. He just enjoyed a Coca-Cola.
That's it, all day.
We get a couple questions. I know I'm about out of time.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, you got a minute?
Yep, I got just exactly 1 minute.
Okay. I'm going to make this up, so just bear with me.
Okay.
We get a lot of questions from our internet, whether it's Twitter or the Fox Sports social media platforms, and they always want to chime in, and they hashtag Ask Mikey.
Yeah.
So they're asking Mikey to ask Bubba what he thinks about the Southern 500 this weekend in Darlington. Will that be a track where you can again get another top 5 finish? Ask Claire from Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think Darlington for me has always been a place where I struggled, but showing up for the 2 races when we got started back this year, we fired off on some really positive notes. Caution came out there at the end at a bad time. Once we all took the white flag, we finished 16th, which is my best finish, but man, it felt like we were top of 3 wide at Daytona with a huge run. And it was like, Freddie was in my ear, keep coming. Caution's out. Damn it. We were going to be like 10th by the time we got off turn 2, but caution didn't fall our way. So I think so. And the things that we worked on with the sim these last couple of weeks, at Darlington, have helped. And I think, we come up with a good plan. We had a good talk about Darlington yesterday. just, how to be better there. And so we'll do as much as we can.
Well, it'll be fun to watch for sure. I was listening to the Sirius XM station today, and they said last year's Southern 500 was 3 hours and 47 minutes long. So you're going to have to be that badass behind you there, man up and run 500 miles at Darlington. It's a load, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a long race. The tire fall off, which it makes it so fun, and you kind of get lost in translation with just you're racing the racetrack, and then Freddie will come over and be like, all right, just past halfway. And you're like,
you gotta be kidding.
Yeah. So it's tough, but it's one of those iconic racetracks and those crown jewel races that we'll have to go out and try to accomplish.
Awesome. Well, I want to say one last question, and I'll let you go. And you're free to break the news here on Waltrip Unfiltered. This is a place where I feel like is a great opportunity. I don't know if you've been looking at the news or not, but you've been in it a lot about your 2021 plans.
Yeah.
It's silly season, and it's all centered around Bubba Wallace and a whole lot of other personalities and people that our names are mentioned as well. Mm-hmm. What's the 2021 plan, Bubba?
Well, Mikey, I can let you in on this. You ready?
Ready. Listen, look at me. I'm ready.
You ready? We're working on things. I got no excitement right now. We're working on a lot of exciting things to figure out what our plans are and looking out for myself. That's the biggest thing. Got to take care of yourself in these times. And so it's stressful for sure. Just trying to figure out, what's the best option. So we'll continue to work and see what's there for us.
And that's all?
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, have fun in South Carolina, and really appreciate you taking some time to talk with me and the fans.
Yeah, man. Man, no problem. I appreciate you. Always a good time.
Thank you so much for being a part of Waltrip Unfiltered, my podcast. Be sure to tell your friends about us. You can add us on Fox Sports social media channel. We have all kinds of videos you can view and watch highlights of our podcast each week. You can also go to your favorite podcast app and add us. Tell your friends to do so as well. We have a good time talking to the drivers. Just really fun hearing the personalities and seeing the smiles, just having conversations with your buddies like we did today with Bubba. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week.
For more great NASCAR on Fox content, subscribe to our channel. It's somewhere right around here.